Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. As I always say, wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. Thank you very much for joining us live on YouTube. If that is how you are watching us, please join in and let us know your thoughts on the news, rumours, gossip as we go through it tonight. And obviously, as always, with Leicester, because it's Leicester, there's plenty of it. More of those regarding things that aren't happening, possibly, than things that are. If you join watching this on catch up, add your comments below. We're always interested to see them. And if you are watching, if you are listening via your favourite podcast platform, whatever that may be, thank you very much. Joined as I was last week by Mark. Good evening, Mark. How was your week?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, it's been quite a nice week, really. A bit of nice weather this week again, still, isn't there?
It has.
Like summer.
Well, this is it. Blink though, and we'll miss it. You know what this country's like. 7 days to catch up on. They say silence is golden, but silence is almost deafening, isn't it?
It is. Again, you see other clubs that have been relegated that have gone through the motions, put statements out, and we've still had nothing from our lot. So I think they're going to obviously spin the PR wheel this weekend to make it look like a party, which it should be for Jamie Vardy, his last one. But it doesn't really alter the fact that we've heard absolutely nothing since relegation.
No. I mean, that is... I put a thing out on the BBC a couple of weeks ago. We're treated... Well, I didn't quite word it like this because the BBC don't allow me to, but... And I think I may have said this to you before, almost like we're being treated like mushrooms, kept in the dark, fed on shit.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Customers, not fans these days, isn't it? But that's probably enough negativity for this evening.
Well, there's planned. I think there'll be more to come. I do. Hi, Ronald. How you doing? He's joined us. Look, let's get straight into this. I want to say, first of all, congratulations to the women. Not a bad end to the season, 4-2 last weekend, beating West Ham United. We finished 10th. Which is, we've been in the 4 seasons we've been in the Women's Super League. We finished 11th, 10th, 10th, and 10th. There's only 12 in the league, so it doesn't sound that bad, that good. But actually, fair play to Leicester. Each season we've improved on the points and the actual wins. If only the men could produce that, Mark.
Yeah, you'd enjoy that goals as well. I think I mentioned earlier that in a different show. Sorry that. I've only seen 4 goals this season at the KP, so if I'd have gone there last week, I could have seen 4 more. So, yeah, congratulations to the women. Good to stay in the top division. I think it's necessary now with the infrastructure that they built there, and that they've obviously got Beaver Drive that they're training at still, haven't they? And I wish them all the best for next season.
Do you think it's strange that, I know Everton, for example, are giving Goodison Park to the women's team, so fair play to them for that. Do you think, though, Beaver Drive, with our PSR problems, that couldn't be sold, get some money in? Surely there's room for the women at Seagrave.
You would have thought so, wouldn't you? Anything we can raise from a PSR side, I think is going to help us for next season. I know we'll talk about some potential sales as we go through today, but that would be pure profit for us, wouldn't it, from a PSR point of view?
Yeah, exactly.
Selling to King Power Holdings for 250 million. Jobs are good in.
Yeah. And it's not. And the funny thing is, with King Power being what they do actually own a few hotels and buildings around the world. So they could do a Chelsea almost. But look, we wait and see what's going to happen. But I say, well done to the women. I don't know what's happening with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I'm really confused. He says here that his remit is to leave the club in the best position possible. Well, he's shit that up, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He couldn't have left it any worse.
He was all right with his first 2 and his last 2 games, wasn't he, so far? We've got 4 points in each of them. Just a bit in the middle that was rotten.
Do you... Look, I couldn't believe I was saying this. I did a show on Tuesday and I said to Craig, looking at the last 2 games, that Forest game was probably the best game of the season, the best performance of the season. To say who we were playing, yes, I know we didn't win, But to me, a 2-2 draw against the Champions League chasing side is better than a 2-0 win against the worst team in the league. But do you think he was too scared to try things out earlier in the season?
I think he's a little bit too scared now still. For the fact we're already down, he's not really let loose as such, is he?
No.
He's still playing, Wout Fast at centre-back. Connor Cody's back there. Fair play to Cody getting his first goal I think it was his first goal for us full stop, wasn't it? The weekend. I don't recall him scoring another goal for us. So I think he's been quite safe so far. But since we've gone down, the performances have improved a little bit. I think the result at Forest was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I was at a pub in Anstey after watching the Legends game on Sunday. We managed to find a pub just for kickoff. That was another disappointment. We left at 3-0 to the Anstey team, and at the end it was 3-3, and Leicester won penalties. So, and I thought we only missed the last 5 minutes. So I think it all went off there. That sums up my season watching Leicester goals.
you just can you just stay away from King Power next season?
Well, I'm staying away this weekend. I've had to sell my ticket this weekend. I'm absolutely gutted.
I remember you saying earlier. I just don't know, and this is the problem, isn't it? Like when you've been relegated with 5 games to spare, that should be that should mean that you've got 5 extra weeks, if you like, to prepare for the following season, which is obviously going to have to be different because we're down a league, but with just nothing coming out of the club whatsoever.
No, I think we should be ahead of pretty much everyone else in the Championship in terms of our preparation, because we knew which league we were playing in before everyone else apart from Southampton. I think at the stage we got relegated, all of the Championship could have either gone up or gone down still. So we were the only certainties alongside Southampton and for knowing which division we were playing in next season. So, I think you're right. It sort of reeks a little bit of Leicester being really slow to it. Everything that I see, though, seems to say that he's expecting to leave, and he talks like he's expecting to leave. But the longer it goes on, you think he's not going to leave. That's how I'm starting to feel now. I start to feel that I think they're going to give this guy a chance next season, which could be a costly mistake.
I would agree with you, and I think it could be very, very costly. And I mean, look, but I think we would all sort of be not say be okay with it, but if they just came out and said, "Look, we're going to give him a chance," that was part of the agreement. If we went down, he'd get a season to see if he can get us back up. At least we'd know then where we stood.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't think it's the right move, though. I think it's a dangerous move to do. And I see a lot of people say they feel sorry for Ruud, and I get that. He didn't get backed in January, but he would have had to work an absolute miracle in the transfer market in January to have kept us up, because his tactics have been so sort of poor and his selections have been poor as well. I think we have to be careful if we go after someone else. I don't like the Sean Dyche rumour that much. I've seen that, and I know we'll discuss that as we go through. But I think we need to understand what sort of football club we are and what the method of play is really these days. We ripped that up after Maresca left and brought in Steve Cooper, who played a totally unrelated style of football. And it was like a bit of a scattergun approach after that. So I don't know. I think, as it says there in the headline, he's talking about leaving the club in the best possible position. I think that's the best idea all round.
Yeah. Look, you've mentioned it next week, and I forgot to put this on the slides, but I'm able to bring it up there. Jamie Vardy playing his final game this weekend for Leicester City, and yet it's not the last game of the season. Now, has our club got absolutely no fucking idea what it's doing, or are they trying? Because all they're doing, as far as I can see it, is doing a repeat. Do you remember when we beat Southampton 9-0? What did we do on the return game when they came to the King Power? We showed the 9 goals on the screen before the teams came out. They then went on and beat us, I think it was 2-1 or 2-0. I'm not sure. There is nothing to wind the opposition up like doing that. Now, they've come out and said that they're not going to allow anybody else to do a TIFO because it will ruin their celebrations and the things they've got planned. All this is doing, as I can see it, is building up to giving Ipswich a damn good excuse to burst our balloon.
You have to celebrate the guy there, Chris. I mean, it's party on Sunday, isn't it? I get it. I understand it's tempting fate a little bit, and if you're that way inclined, it's a little bit like prodding the bear, isn't it? But I don't think Ipswich are a particularly scary bear. I think Vardy will score. I think he'll score probably more than one. It would be very Vardy-like to finish off when the pressure's on him to get that last goal. He deserves it, though. He deserves everything that's going to happen on Sunday. It is a bit strange, a bit woke, actually, isn't it? Not playing the final game. Is it to leave him on 500 games? Is that the reason why?
Well, tomorrow, Sunday, when we play, which is the 18th, I think. Yes, it is. It's 13 years since he signed on the 18th of May.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make it all sort of, well, look, 13 years to the date, 500, exactly 500 games. But what? Let's just say, because I watched Vardy against Nottingham Forest. Anybody else on 199 goals, as he was then, would have attempted to score a goal. He saw Brunette in a slightly better position. He saw Monga and said, "Hey, Dad, go and get, go and make history, youngest goal scorer ever," and he nearly did. Unselfish to the end. If Vardy's got a chance to score but might miss, or he's got somebody on that is in a better position, being the unselfish person that I saw against Forest, he's going to do that. So if he ends against Ipswich on 199, and Ipswich may well go and play 8 at the back just to pay him off, is he going to say, "Why aren't I playing against Bournemouth? I want that 200 goals." What's more important, 200 goals or 500 games?
Oh, I get it. I understand it might be his choice, though. He wanted to go out at, I was going to say Filbert Street then. That's a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah. Showing your age now.
I know. Oh, the glory days. These are the glory days, though, and let's have that right. This is the end of it. This is the end of the era now of that title-winning squad. This is the last person going from it, and he deserves his send. He's the best player that's ever going to play for the club during probably, certainly my lifetime. I don't know if you've seen anyone that you would rate up there alongside him, but for what he's delivered for the club as well, and all of the housery that's gone with it, just perfect.
Yeah. That's what we're going to miss. I mean, again, my piece I did for the BBC, it was like, we are going to miss Jamie Vardy, the goal scorer, but we're going to miss Jamie Vardy, the showman and the sportsman as well. Because like I say, it would have been very easy for him to say, "I'm going to have these shots because I want to get to 200. But he didn't do that. And look, he's showboating. There's no characters left in the game now, is it? It's so sterile.
It is. He's one of a kind, and I think to show how unique he is, all of these fans of different clubs in the Premier League, I think they appreciate him. I think they'll wish him well. They probably wish they had him 10 years ago, and I don't think too many will fancy him at the minute unless it's off the bench for the last 20 minutes. But he has been an unbelievable servant to Leicester City, but also an unbelievable character in the Premier League era as well.
And he gives hope to anybody that don't give up on the dream.
Well, he's the same age as me, Chris. I might still make it if I...
Hey, I tell you what, the way we are at the moment, get your boots on, mate.
No, mate, I
know. Well, look, good luck, Jamie. I do hope you get to the 200. It would be interesting, shall we say, if he doesn't, and he goes over to top and say, "You better bloody play me against Bournemouth." You know what I mean? We will see. But that's why I'm a little bit disappointed. And I've got to say, all right, Bournemouth, it's only a small ground, so it always generally fills up anyway with away fans. So it's a day on the beach, especially when the weather's sort of like this. But there's a lot of people are going down thinking that's going to be his last game. I was begging, because of course I live just outside Bournemouth, and I was begging my Bournemouth mate to try and get me a ticket because it's his last game. I must admit, I'm not bothered for going now. I know that sounds awful, but...
Okay, it's a shame, isn't it, for the away fans? I do get it. Go out in front of 30,000 of your own in a party atmosphere. I understand it to a large degree. I think he'll probably fancy playing there anyway.
I think so. And why not? All right, I know testimonials, he earns more in a week than any player ever earned in a testimonial. But why not just give him a special one-off game?
Versus Sheffield Wednesday or
Yeah,
West
yeah,
Brom just score against them again.
yeah. You know what? Why not? But look, I mean, look, that's presuming we've got a club that is, considers its fans and looks after its fans.
Yeah.
I didn't actually, Prash, and he said, did you see his taxi ride video during training?
Yeah.
Typical. I'll
Yeah.
dig that out and have a look at that.
He was driving the golf cart, Chris. He was giving Yannick Vestergaard, I think it was the fastest Vestergaard's ever moved on that golf truck. In fact, I think we could probably put the golf cart at centre back this weekend.
Well, where was his dog? Did he get his dog in there as well? Look, you mentioned him earlier. Sean Dyche, he's come in as second favourite. He is now a top contender, it says, to replace Ruud van Nistelrooy. This is very much, and I think I may have said this last week, that I've always kind of gone on who's the best manager to get us out of the situation we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Where after spoken to Manny, it was and Craig on our channel, it's more a case of like, what style do the team want to play going forward? Now, I'm hoping to I've got a good friend who's a Burnley fan. I actually lived in Burnley for 25 years, to talk to us about Sean Dyche's style. Now, look, he would have kept Everton up this season. You could argue that was because there was 3 shitter clubs than them. But do you go along with the argument that he did what he was allowed to do or was able to do with the players that he was able to bring in, which obviously when you're playing for a club like Burnley, who were then not got the current owners, weren't exactly a rich club?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think for me, he's not the type of manager that I would want, because I want us to have a bit of a project. I want us to have an idea and an identity towards getting back into the top division. Will he get us out of the division? Absolutely, undoubtedly, I think. But I think most managers could or should still get us out of the division next season. And that's not an arrogance that comes with that. That's belief that several, in fact, more than several, half of our squad that we've got at the minute, even if some of them leave, are too good for the Championship, but probably not good enough for the Premier League. So I think a lot of managers will be able to get us up. I understand it with Dyche. I think he's probably a little bit more no-nonsense. You turn into a side that's hard to beat. I don't think it's a side that's particularly good to watch. And do you know what? As Leicester fans, we deserve a side that's good to watch. Yeah, there's a lot of arguments that Maresca's side wasn't very good to watch in the Championship and won it quite comfortably. But yeah, I'm all for a younger, not younger. That's not the right thing to say. I'm all for a more exciting manager than Sean Dyche.
I know what you're saying. And I'm worried that you are turning into a West Ham fan here. We deserve to have, but I know where you're coming from. I'm bantering, of course, but
yeah.
If we have a transfer embargo, well, we have got a transfer embargo. I don't think it's ever been lifted. So he's got to play with the players he's got. I'm not sure. And look, I actually picked Faze as my man of the match against Nottingham Forest. He made 13 clearances. The next closest to him was Cody with 5. I think for once he actually had a good game, and that's why he got my man of the match, to total shock of everybody. I even bought a Vout Faze wig. There we go. That's our thing. Yes, I know. Not my greatest moment, I'm going to say, but look, it's a bit of fun. I would say Vout Faze isn't even Championship quality. There's a lot of players there. Dakova Reed isn't Championship quality. Now, to get the best out of them, square pegs, square holes, this guy wouldn't take any nonsense. With Ruud van Nistelrooy, if he does stay next season, we're not going to see Harry Winks. And he was a bloody good player in the Championship. But we were likely to see him because of the way they're getting on. And when you look at his stats, at Everton, 84 games, he won 26, so that's like a 31% win rate. Burnley, 425 games. He won 149, just over 35% win rate. Watford, 49 games, 17 won. Again, a 34.5, nearly 35% win rate. What I would give for that win rate right now, do I want to play nice football and not get promoted? Financially, we need to get promoted. Will he get us into Europe? Unlikely. But will he get us up and maybe keep us up? There's a good chance he would.
The 35% win rate won't get you promoted next season, though. Don't forget that. I know most of his games have been in the Premier League, so that's me playing the devil's advocate a little bit there with you. But couple of points then, Chris. Firstly, your man of the match versus Forest. That's harsh on Luke Thomas, who I thought was excellent during the game. He's got to be a contender up there. Wout Faes is an international footballer, whether we like it or not. I don't think he's not good enough for the Championship. I think he's just not good enough for the Premier League. And Harry Winks, if we had Sean Dyche in charge, he'd be watching the ball fly over his head the whole game, like Muzzy is it when we ended up with Dave Bassett back in the day.
But do you think that's because he's got that reputation, like I said, because of the sort of players he had?
Yeah, he had the chance at Everton to change that reputation a little bit, though, because they spent a good amount of money at different points under him. But he sort of stuck to what he knew. Tarkovsky and who was the other Keane, the other centre back, when it is old Burnley centre backs. They got the nod and they were scoring goals for him up top. So I think he's an old-fashioned manager. I get the appeal to him to a certain extent, but he's just not for me.
No. And I'm not saying he's my choice. And as I say, with all these discussions, I am got my devil's advocate hat on. He has got 2 promotions to the top flight on his CV already, and has proven to be a manager that can keep a team afloat in the Premier League for longer than anyone would have expected. The report also states that sources close to the former Everton boss said he was ready to answer the phone if Leicester do come calling. We will see. And there's a little bit of news coming up that plays again, looks at the other side of it. But Ruud van Nistelrooy, he had a 1-to-1 meeting with John Rudkin. Good God. I mean, that's like having Sleepy and Dopey having a meeting together, isn't it? And I just, this was on, as you can see, EFL analysis there. And what they're saying here, publicly, Ruud has not given too much away regarding his long-term plans. 1 week he's saying, this is who I want to get in the summer. This is the way we should be looking. These are the sort of players we should be going for. Then he's saying, my job is to leave Leicester in the best possible position. I mean, it's the blind leading the blind there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know which other way to answer that than just to say yeah. We talk about strategy and having a plan for the football club. You can't really say, and it's maybe harsh to blame it all on Rudkin. It's time that he left, though. I think his position is now untenable. The fans don't trust him. He's become a bit of a joke in the fan base. Even the good stuff that he probably does is getting overlooked. So when you're in a job like that and your reputation's gone, it's gone and it's time to move on, isn't it? I'd move both of them on this summer.
Yeah, just going back, Michael says I'd like Sean Dyche. He's one of the older generation like myself. I'm not saying that's why we quite like him. Like Ronald said, even at the start of the season, if it does turn out to be Ruud, I think we've got to back him and give him a chance.
Yeah, whoever's in the dugout needs to be backed, don't they? It's a different division. I think you can imagine a scenario where we win on Sunday, and then maybe go and draw at Bournemouth, and he's got 8 points from his last 4 games. Is that the stage then to sack the guy? I don't know. He's probably in a stronger position having been relegated than we were before we were relegated. So there's a few variables left to work out, but I personally wish they'd have been really strong and made the decision a few weeks ago. I'd have just given it to Kingy till the end of the season just to get a bit of passion in there and someone that cares. I'm not saying
once we got down.
Yeah, once we were down, we were down. And And, all this playing youth and giving youth a chance, I think he's skirting around the edges of it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Golding never even touched the ball, did he? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
He's the biggest bullshitter as a manager I know, Ruud van Nistelrooy. But on this EFL analysis, they have a resident transfer expert, Graham Bailey, and he said Ruud van Nistelrooy did a very impressive presentation to the Leicester hierarchy and John Rudkin recently. How he knows, who knows? I don't think they've made their minds up yet. I think they've been impressed by what they've seen in recent weeks. I think they will assess it. And yes, they did give him a blank gun in January, but he had one shot, and the player that he got, well, we'll come on to him later, appears to be well pissed off, and he's not starting, and he was still this left back. Or player that was better at left back, starting at right back. I mean, would you trust him? And this is the question: if he does stay, do we trust him with the transfer kitty?
Well, he might not get a transfer kitty if we get an embargo. So that might be a silver lining to it. I don't know. I don't really get where we're at the moment and what he's trying to do. Woyo Koulibaly, like you said, was brought in January. He's quite a nice bloke, Ruud. I'd quite like to go for a pint with him. I just don't want him managing my football club.
Yes, exactly. Right. Well, we've just said Sean Dyche was coming in as second favourite. The same source that told us that now then came out a day later and said Sean Dyche has a ceiling. City urged to avoid disappointment in favour of Maresca-esque hire. I mean, there's nothing like, covering all bases, Football League world, is there?
They're going to get it right somehow, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that I can understand. Because look at Leeds this season. And I've got to say, through gritted teeth, congratulations to them for coming up. But maybe settling down and having one extra season in the second tier didn't do them any harm. A lot of players left, but then obviously if they'd wanted to stay, they would have stayed, but they didn't. So maybe it's good getting rid of them. It gave sort of time for maybe to blood players, bring players through. Maybe having a second season in that league wouldn't be the end of the world.
It depends which way you look at it. Financially, it will be the end of the world, I think, to a certain degree. I think... I just think if we stay down, the longer you stay down, the harder it is to get back out of it again.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee you come back up second season. I think it's going to be an important season for us with a lot of our young players. And we've got some exciting young players, and I just hope that they stay with us. I've just seen the conversation there about being under embargo. I think that means that you can't buy players. I think you might be able to get the odd free transfer. My worry about all of this is that we're going to go on the cheap again. And if you buy cheap, you buy twice, don't you? That's the old adage. So keep Van Nistelrooy, that's the cheap option. Keep Rudkin, that's the cheap option. Sign no players. That's exactly what you can see is sort of doing even if we are allowed to. And that's a worry for me.
When you look at, supposedly, I've given the benefits, if you like, of getting Sean Dyche in, but you look at how we struggled with Steve Cooper. I mean, obviously we didn't struggle as bad as we did with Ruud van Nistelrooy, but Ruud van Nistelrooy is very much playing in the Enzo style, in the formation and everything, and that's what we've been playing for 3/4 of the season. So to get Sean Dyche in, we're just swapping everything round again. If we go and get a manager who plays, and there's a couple that, and I think I've thrown it out actually, but there was a couple that Craig said the other day, a couple of German managers that played that sort of style that we could go for, and it hasn't done Brighton any harm. But we should maybe stick to that, stick to the sort of style of play that the players are used to.
Yeah. That's what I was saying before. was talking to a Liverpool fan at work.
Just checking my filing basket here.
You carry on, yeah. Talking to a Liverpool fan at work, and he was talking about how Ruben Amorim was probably the favourite at one stage to take over at Liverpool, but if they'd have done that, they'd have had to rip up the whole way that they play, spend 500 million on players to start again. And they went with Slot, who was sort of a similar ilk to Klopp in the way that he wanted to play football and had the tools there to do the job. The tools that we had and the players that we had meant that we should have gone for someone a lot closer to Maresca's style. I'm not saying exactly to his style, maybe a more pragmatic defensive solution, but with counter-attacking football at different points. But we didn't do that. We ripped it up and went again. And that's my worry for us this season. If we rip it up and start again, not that I know what our style of play is at the minute, if I'm quite honest, but hopefully we'll find out in the next few games in early next season.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying to find the two managers that he said, and it's not on that piece of paper either. Let me just see if I've still got them in here. No, I deleted them. Oh no, here we go. Casper Hoyland, who is. Let me just wait for this to load.
Is he the Denmark manager?
Yeah, he's the Denmark manager, indeed. His preferred formation is a 3-4-1-2. I mean, I know he's not going to get the job because he wants to play two up front, but it's a similar style to how we play. And the other one was a Hamburg manager, I think, Sebastian Hoeneß.
Okay.
Who also plays a 4-2-3-1. So, again, it's very, very similar style. He's currently managing Stuttgart. Not saying, look, everybody say, well, would he come to the Championship? Well, look at Enzo. Come to the Championship, do well. So there's two managers. So there are managers out there, and I think we've got to do a Enzo again and go left field and pick somebody that is left field. But
yeah, I agree.
This is going to change every week, isn't it? Now, the other one that we have been linked with, Danny Roll. He looks like he's rolling past us and up to Glasgow Rangers. I can understand him. Look, I don't know whether he's going to win anything at Glasgow Rangers because Celtic are so dominant at the moment and Rangers are so far behind. But, he's one that's been linked a lot. He's not settled at Sheffield Wednesday. So, again, are we in danger of missing out if he is the one?
I think we'll miss out on him anyway. I'm not sure if we want him. I'm not sure if we've made it clear that he'd be on there. But I see him going to Southampton rather than Rangers. He was the assistant manager at Southampton under Ralph Hasenhüttl. He's got some good connection there, and they seem to really want him and have made it quite clear that they want him. So that's where I would expect him to go. Rangers, huge club. And someone is going to get the job there of turning it around in the old firm, aren't they? And, could that be him? Absolutely, it could be. I like what I see from him. This style of football is pretty attractive. He's done a good job at Sheffield Wednesday this season. And, he's a good fit for what I would want going forward. I just don't think it's going to be him.
Although, I mean, you say about the club, it's a different club now because they've... with different owners and what have you. But I suppose, the links are still there and everything. But again, this is the problem that I really, really hope that they have got somebody at the back of their mind because, if we are letting all these possible targets go by, you're thinking, hang on, how much closer is Jesse Marsh getting to the top of the list?
Well,
I could have said Steven Gerrard. That would have been even worse. But apparently he wants to go back to Rangers and they don't want him.
He was in the league there, didn't he, last time?
Well, he did, but it was apparently my neighbour's Carol's son. Son-in-law, sorry, he's Scottish. He's a huge Rangers fan. And I was talking to him a couple of New Year's Eves ago. and as you talk when you're drunk and you're talking football or what have you. And I said, like, would you have him back? And he says, not in a fucking million years. He says, I said, but he won you the title. He said, no, he didn't. Apparently, it was like the assistant manager
Okay.
that had done all the work, who, of course, went on. Did he go on to Portsmouth or somewhere, or QPR or somewhere like that?
Right.
But apparently, David Angelotti is now 2-5 to get the Rangers job. Well, we'll see. Like you say, things will pan out. Now, I'm going to have to rely on you on this one, young Mark, because I missed this today. But apparently, Ben Nelson is titillating Enzo's taste buds.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the Telegraph. It was John Percy that came out and said this today. So there's a bit of gravitas behind it in terms of when Percy tweets, he already knows what he's talking about. This would be a blow to us, I think, because I think a lot of Leicester fans want the defence to be built around Ben Nelson for next season. And I understand that he's young, he's mobile, he's homegrown, very, very talented. You speak to Oxford fans and they think the guy's going to play for England at some point. So you can't really pay a higher compliment to that when the guy's been playing in the second tier. Now, the plus side of it would be we would get some decent money back for him, upwards of 15 to 20 million you would expect for us to part, which would be pure profit from a PSR point of view. That could be, I think it works out, is it 3 times or 4 times the actual fee for the profit or something like that? It's quite a funny calculation. So I think it's worth about 80 million to us from a PSR perspective if we were to get 20 for him. But really highly rated. He's got 2 years left on his contract. I don't want him to go. I really want him to be the heartbeat of the team and be a future captain for Leicester City.
I think we all would like him to stay. I mean, I put a team together for last season based on who might leave, so taking the likes of El Canouse out and what have you, because the chances are they may well leave. And Nelson was the heart of my defence, as you say. And I know a lot of Oxford fans have said that he's actually too good for Leicester.
That's rich for an Oxford fan to say, isn't it?
It is, but I kind of get what they mean with the way that we've been playing recently. But look, the situation that this club is in at the moment, if an offer comes in of, I think, 30 million or upwards, I think it's going to be very, very hard to turn down.
I don't think they'll get 30 mil for it. I think if he'd have played in the Premier League all last season and showed he could do it in that league, there would have been a chance of that because he's young and English and the homegrown quota for these sides that are playing in Europe. I'd be surprised if it was anything north of 20. But 20 million to us is 20 million, isn't it? I just wonder how many we'd have to sell this summer.
Excuse me. It is, but you've got 2 years left on your contract. And this is presuming, obviously, that we're not under some sort of management plan from the EFL and we can actually make our own decisions. They may come in and say, no, we'll accept 15. You've got, you need the money. But look at Maguire. We were able to hold out with Maguire. I know it was a different times then. But like you say, it is pure profit. And I think if an offer does come in, and like you say, Percy with the Telegraph, he is one of the more sources that you trust, shall we say, then, I think it's going to be hard to turn down.
Yeah, it is. I mean, how many did Chelsea want off of us? That's the other question I would ask. They've got Jude Grigor, they had Chilwell, Kante, Drinkwater. Who have I missed? Fofana.
Yeah.
Just leave us alone. Let us just be.
Indeed.
We don't need to be Chelsea's feeder club forever. It's just disheartening.
Totally. I mean, I think we're always going to be in that position where we still need. Well, we know the whole ethos of Leicester was we sold one good player every season, even under King Power. I mean, will they look at it and go, well, we can sell Ben Nelson, we've still got Wout Faes. I mean, that's a scary thought, isn't it?
Oh, God, don't say that. I can't watch another calamity of a season. Like I said, though, in the Championship last time, he was probably one of the best defenders in there, and that shows you where the level is in the Championship, I think, without being disrespectful. But I can't watch him try and defend for another season.
Well, I mean, look how good Jannik Vestergaard was in the in the Championship. He might make a comeback.
Yeah, great. Let's move on.
You're doing a Ruud van Nistelrooy. You're not answering the questions.
I don't want to watch either of them. I don't particularly want to see Cody at centre back either, but I'd rather Cody than Vestergaard and Fass.
The best of a bad bunch, I think, is what we're titling down. Right, next up. Well, we have already lost somebody. Not long out. He's only been in the job about 2 weeks. Gone to back to Plymouth Argyle. Loans manager. Obviously, he came in to replace Robert Huth. He hasn't really got his foot under the table. But look, it's his club, isn't it, Plymouth Argyle?
It is. Sometimes you take a job on and realise you've made a mistake fairly instantly, and I think that's probably what he felt. What was the reason why Robert Huth has left his position? Has he gone elsewhere, or has he just had enough?
I think he's retired. Somebody will tell us in the chat, because obviously there was a big hurrah about him coming back to Leicester, and I don't know the actual reason. It was all very hush hush. Who knew? Who knew at Leicester it was all going to be hush hush? Someone in the chat will tell us why Robert Huth left. But this guy came in. They obviously got relegated, I think, didn't they?
They did. Yeah.
They finished 23rd with only 11 wins, 22 losses. But David Fox, it is, only took over as the Foxes loans manager 2 weeks ago, but he's set to be announced as the new head of football operations of Plymouth in the coming days, as per BBC Sport, although Football League World got it there. 41-year-old. He played for Plymouth, spent a lot of his time there. Look, yeah, we've all done it. I left for a job, and within a month I'd left and gone back to where I'd left. I'm just seeing if it says anything here about. No, it doesn't say anything about Huth at all. But we. I think if you read between the lines, like you say, 2 weeks to go from what was a Premier League club, all right, we've gone down to the Championship, but the chances are we're going to be one of the favourites to come back up, like you say. And to say I want to jack all that in and go back to Plymouth probably says an awful lot about Leicester City behind the scenes.
Yeah, the other side of it as well is, of course, if you have to leave an employer to get the better job and get the terms that you originally wanted, you maybe question, are they the right place to be, full stop. So
yeah.
Maybe Plymouth's not the place for him to be, but I didn't even realise we'd replaced Robert Huth until I got told this guy was going back. So yeah, I'm sure we'll move on, find someone else. I think we've had 3 loan managers recently, and we had Guy Branston.
Yeah, I've forgotten about him. Yeah,
this guy Robert Huth, and we had someone else as well. I can't remember who it was.
I just, and then when you look at our loan system, which we've been relying on, for probably we'll have to, the players we were loaning out this season is the ones we're going to be relying on next season, possibly, if we do go down the youth side. Another one that could create a Leicester windfall, says here, potential Leicester City windfall moves one step closer. Hamza Chowdhury. It seems like we seem to talk about him every season for about the last 25 years, and he's not even that old. Sheffield United, 90 minutes plus any extra time away from the Premier League in the playoffs against Sunderland. It says here in Leicestershire Live, obviously the Blades beat Bristol City, 2 legs, 3-0 in each leg to go to the final 6-0. He played 90 minutes for Sheffield United as a right back, as they again kept a clean sheet. If Sheffield United are triumphant, it perhaps make a permanent move for the City Academy graduate more likely. Playing as a defensive midfielder or as a right back, Chowdhury has made 18 appearances since joining the Blades on loan in January, only missing 1 game. I think it is time for him to move on. I've said, for me, Hamza Chowdhury has never been a starter for Leicester, but is what you would call a good squad player. And look, he's had, who can forget those 3 on the line saving blocks against West Brom with his left foot, his right foot, and his head. I mean, and he's a Leicester lad. But I think the time has come on that if somebody doesn't make us an offer, and obviously Sheffield United would be the obvious one, to say yes, thank you very much.
I think he does a great job in the Championship. I think if Sheffield United buy him, I don't think he will deliver what they need him to in the Premier League next season. So I think it might be a mistake on their part to part with some cash for him. Supposedly, though, Chris, he's on 50 grand a week, which is huge money for Leicester City even these days, and certainly in the Championship. So it would make sense for us to get rid of him. I see him as a right back more than a defensive midfielder these days. I thought he was excellent back in the Championship at right back when he got given a chance. I remember him play against Liverpool at maybe centre back one time as well. I think that was the time that did we beat them 1-0 and he was at centre back.
We did, and there's that famous picture of him walking off the pitch with Brendan Rodgers' arm round him, pointing at him like that as if to say he's the man. Yeah, and then he never played for Leicester again under Brendan Rodgers.
No. Shame. I like him. He's got a place for me in the squad next season, but I can understand why people would say let's move him on.
I mean, like I said, for me, he's a squad player. You know what you get with him. I think if you need somebody to be that midfield enforcer as well, he's going to come on and within 15 minutes he'll have a yellow card, but he'll let the opposition know he's there. At right back, let's be honest with you, maybe not the first choice, but he did a job for us when we needed him to.
Yeah.
You would, if we are in the Championship next season, you would actually still keep him as a squad player, would you?
Yeah, I don't think he'd even be that much of a squad player. I look at our right back option, and you've got James Justin, who is not particularly been very good for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. I think Ricardo Pereira will potentially leave because I think his body's just given up on him at a certain level of football. So we will need another right back. That's where I would see him as his best position these days. And, he's good on the ball. He cares about the club. And I think that's a big tick for anyone that pulls on our shirt next season. Do they actually give a shit? Because we've watched players this season who were quite frankly not fit to wear the shirt 9 times out of 10. And we deserve better than that.
Would he be a starter for you over Koulibaly?
I don't know enough about Koulibaly. That's the problem.
It's the problem, isn't it?
I watched the guy play a half-decent first half and get booked whoever he was playing against and never to be seen again.
Yes, yeah. Armchair says, not good enough for the Prem, but perfect for the Championship. We say that about a lot of our players, can't we? If Hamza was going to tie down a regular spot, he'd have done so by now. It's probably best for both parties if he moved on. Both sides of the argument there in 2 comments. Right, let's move on to the next one. I thought I'd done this last week, but apparently not. And I suppose it's going to be the first of many links. Bradford planning 25 million transfer raid on relegated Leicester. First of all, your thoughts on 25 million?
You said Bradford then, Chris?
Brentford, didn't I?
Yeah, I thought Bradford had come into a lot of money all of a sudden.
I did. If I said Bradford, I apologise. I meant to say Brentford. And then I had to have a look to see whether I actually typed Bradford out on the thumbnail. But no, Brentford.
I quite like this move for Mads, if I'm honest. I think he'd get a game at Chelsea if he went to Chelsea. Man United probably need a goalkeeper. Is it too soon for him potentially? He's got some Danish mates, Danish friends at Brentford, which would make it a nice environment for him. Damsgaard's there, isn't he? And they've got a
huge Denmark contingent under the manager.
They've got a few players there that he would know. I think Brentford are a good football club, and that they are similar to what we were a few years ago, to an extent.
Yeah,
maybe not quite as good as we were when we were top 5 under Brendan Rodgers. But they're on the up, so I can see that panning out. 25 million for me seems a little bit light. I want another 10 on top of that.
Yeah. 27 games he's played, 24-25 season, 2,385 minutes, only one clean sheet. Can you blame him for that, or is it the fact that whoever was in front of him was totally shit as well?
Well, I don't think he's been shit. I think he's been good this season.
No, I actually worded that badly. I meant, sorry, because the four in front of him, or 3,
shit.
5, whatever, was just shit. Sorry.
Yeah, they are, and that's been the problem. First half of the season, he was immense until he got injured. But since he's been back, I don't think he's been quite as good, but he's been carrying an injury for a period of time, probably since he came back. But I think, excuse the pun, but I think we're in safe hands with Stolicek next season. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper who can definitely step up for us. So it makes sense for me to, from a PSR point of view, to be selling Mads. Don't forget, Mads has still got another 3 years on his contract. I know it says they will be lucky to get 25, but I think we'll get a bit more than that for him.
I think so as well. Like you said, the 3 years is the key thing. The longer you got left on your contract, you think you should be able to sort of get more money. 103 saves he made, 64% save percentage, conceded every 41 minutes. Like you say, I'm surprised it wasn't more than that. And he saved one penalty. I'm resigned to him leaving, and I am totally okay with him leaving because, like you said, I think Stolarczyk is a great. He can step up, and he's proved he can step up more than Ward could step up to fill Schmeichel's shoes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Danny Ward's not part of this conversation, really, is he? In terms of being up to the level. I just genuinely think, apart from his distribution, I think Stolicek is as good in every other area as Mads Hermansen.
Yeah.
So he can work on his distribution, of course he can.
Maybe if he kicked it down the middle, it would end up at the side. Because he's kicking it down the side and it's ending up in the crowd.
When we have Sean Dyche as manager, he'll be kicking it long anyway. So
see what you did there. And I've got to say, we are going to be talking goalkeepers in a minute. Chills going down my back already. Now then, this has come from The Athletic, which again, Rob Tanner and the team at The Athletic, if it's The Athletic again, it's got a pretty much, a bit of nous behind it. Don't know if he can sign a contract when he's 15, but Leicester hopeful of a new contract for 15-year-old Jeremy Monga, says Ruud van Nistelrooy. If they weren't quoting Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'd feel happy because, like I say, I've never known anybody bullshit like he has. But he said Leicester City are hopeful of announcing a new contract for teenage winger Jeremy Monga. The 15-year-old who began his GCSE exams in school this week has attracted attention from a number of clubs, including Manchester City, Chelsea, and Real Madrid, following his displays in Leicester's under-21 side. However, despite only being able to train with the first team a couple of times per week because of school, Van Nistelrooy has given him 5 senior appearances. Van Nistelrooy was saying a long time before he actually gave him his debut that I was going to play the youngsters. And like I say, we know it was a load of bullshit. He sat him on the bench and he didn't let him anywhere near the pitch. And I was saying to Rob Tanner, funny enough, it was Rob Tanner from The Athletic, that if he goes, it'll be down to a tribunal fee. Well, now that we've actually played him as much as we have, we can demand a lot more money for him via the tribunal than if we'd never played him at all. And I just did not understand why he was being played. Put yourself into his mind now. Does he stay at Leicester where he will probably get decent game time? I know we're going to have Mavididi back. We're going to have Mavididi back and Fatawu back. So where would he maybe fit in? But you could arguably play him up front. Do you go for another season at Leicester, or do you jump straight into the cauldron that is Manchester City and end up going out on loan somewhere?
It depends how much belief you've got in yourself, I guess. If it was me, you could give 2 more years, three more years to Leicester and be 18 and have played 100 games for us, like Lamine Yamal at Barcelona. I'm not comparing the two for what for what they bring. But he could play 100 games for Leicester in that time, get some real experience, get some great moments under his belt. He's been with us a long time. He'll sign a pre-contract if he does sign a contract, which will tie him down on his 17th birthday. So I think he can sign a pre-contract, but it just wouldn't come into effect. I guess the question is it too much too young? Because 15 years old is not very old, is it? The kid's going to school and I mean, what his mates must think of him at the minute. It must be incredible seeing him go on a Premier League football pitch at the age of 15.
Yeah. I mean, if I was him, because I hated school, so if I was him, I'd be telling my teachers to F off. But I guess, again, I'm going to put my devil's advocate hat on. Ruud van Nistelrooy is let go. He's replaced with Sean Dyche, who doesn't see the advantage of having a player like him in the starting 11, and he disappears from sight. And obviously, once he's disappeared, you're not on everybody's thought.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm a big believer in the timing being right for everything. So he's got to understand where his stock is at certain points. If Real Madrid come calling or something like that, do they ever come calling again? Do you have to take that chance? You probably do. Man City, they'll be sniffing back around again. It's just very unfortunate the system that we live in, where these players go for very, very little. Look at Neone at Liverpool; they still haven't paid us for him yet.
Let's just rush through these last two bits. This is the last one I really want to sort of concentrate on. Life is nothing. Fox's defender posts cryptic message after starting just one game for new club. I can understand how he feels. I mean, and again, is this down to Ruud van Nistelrooy? Was he the player that he wanted? And if he wasn't the player Ruud wanted, why did we sign him?
I don't think we can answer why we signed him because we just haven't seen enough of the guy, have we? Has he played something like 80 minutes in total or something stupid like that? He's not been given a chance. So it says to me that Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't want him in the first place. He wasn't a Van Nistelrooy signing because he's not given him a chance, even when we had Justin, who was quite frankly terrible at different points and, could easily have brought him into the side. I think I said to you, he played the first half against someone, I can't remember who, might have been Man City or someone like that, got booked in the first half, took off at half time and never reappeared. Is either Man City or Arsenal, someone like that.
Arsenal, thought he played 47 minutes against Arsenal.
Yeah. So I feel for the guy. It's not nice going to a new country and not being given the opportunity to do what you're there to do, is it?
Not when you're seeing a left back supposedly being picked above you. 4 appearances, 1 start, 107 minutes played, 6 goals conceded under him. But like you say, I do feel sorry for him. Apparently, we're going to be in talks for this guy.
I don't know who that is. I've seen something about him.
And I'm looking to find out who he is as well. It is Switzerland-based midfielder Moussa Bajardi, 20-year-old Frenchman catching the eye for relegation, battling Verdun Sport, apparently.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. I quite like it when we get these players out of nowhere, though. A la Mahrez and Kante and players. I'm not saying he's as good as them, but it's quite nice to not shop around the usual market.
Indeed, apparently we're also up against Galatasaray and Torino as well. Here's another guy we've been linked with, along with Wolves, Premier League with Wolves, Championship with Leicester, Ukrainian, Matvey Ponomarenko. Why can't we just sign somebody with a straightforward bloody name? Make it easier for me.
There's a chance in there somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah. Free transfer could be possible. 19-year-old. He looks a lot older, but 19-year-old currently plays for Dynamo Kiev and came through their youth system. He's not played many games so far, and it's something of a leap to feel the Ukraine under-21 international could go straight into a Premier League team or even Championship. I'm not sure what position he plays. That would help, wouldn't it?
He's got number 10 on. I wonder if that helps.
Well, you don't know these days, do you? But
right back,
Yeah. You can start pre-contract tours and then club in Portugal. I've no idea what position he plays. I could check it up on Transfer Market, but I know we are struggling for time. I mean, again, if he's a midfielder, do we need another midfielder?
Depends who we keep next season. I think Samare will be off, won't he? If Winks stays, if Rude stays and Winks probably goes, Ndidi will probably be off. So we probably do need a couple of central midfielders based on that. Whether Sammy Baybrook will get a chance next season, who knows? But yeah, I'm all for it. 19, under 21, pretty low risk on a free transfer. What could go wrong?
You say that. Clip that, somebody, and we'll come back to him. I tell you what could go wrong if we do sell Mad, and we promote Solarchik. Though this guy, apparently, according to I hadn't heard of this list site, TCF Filbert Way, have been saying that this guy is available, and should we be going for him? To me, no, 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 because Angus Gunn was in the same team as Yannick Vestergaard and Ryan Bertrand when we stuffed them 9-0. Surely, I mean, if that was to happen, that's just the end of my life as a Leicester fan.
Who do we need to sign then? Bednarek and Walker Peters? Was that the rest of the
Walker Peters, I probably would be okay with, but we couldn't afford him, could we?
Well, he's on a free now, isn't he, this season?
Is he?
Yeah, he is. He's supposedly played his last game for Southampton. I think Angus Gunn would want to be a first choice wherever he goes, and I don't think he'd get that. I don't think he'd get in above Stolarczyk. And so, yeah, it's a strange one. I saw someone say earlier that we needed a new number 2 keeper. I think that is a big priority for us this summer. I think we need someone to compete with Jakub in the places, and we'll go from there.
Armchair says there, no way. I'm with you on that one. And apparently, only in December last year, he was charged with misconduct by the FA. So when you say what could possibly go wrong. And last one, let's round up on this one if we can. Leicester should plot Watford FC transfer raid amid Bilal El Khanous exit fear. So we have been linked with this guy. He's an attacking midfielder. He has a 20 million relegation clause inserted into his contract after a move from Genk. He's, like I say, 21 years old, and he provides the Foxes with greater financial spending power to attack the summer transfer market. Oh, sorry, that's Bilal Al Khanous I'm talking about, of course. This guy is Georgi Chevat. Oh, here we go again. Georgi Chavatsy from Watford. I don't know if you know, he's Georgian. He's got 2 goals and 6 assists for Watford this season, 37 appearances, 11 chances created, and 1.9 key passes per game. Not sure if that's a replacement for Bilal.
He's a good player, though. I've watched him a couple of times. What I would say is he wears his socks too low for my liking.
Oh, wow.
So we can't be having that. We can't be having none of that Grealish style coming into the club. But no, jokes aside, he's quite a talented young player. I think he'll probably go somewhere better than Watford at some point. And whether that's for us, he would be the type of player we would need to replace El Khanous with should El Khanous go. But it'd probably cost us somewhere in the region of 15 to 20 mil. I don't see us spending that if we're selling El Khanous for 25, if that's the rumour. So, I'm unsure.
Knowing your hatred for players not pulling the socks up, I did actually cover the bottom half of that picture up because that's what it shows. So I was being very considerate to you.
Not on.
Hello. Mate, I know you got to go, so thank you very, very much for that. We'll be doing it all again next week, and I'm sure there'll be loads more rumours, and we've probably signed a goalkeeper that let 9 in against us. All the best, mate.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care. Good night. Bye-bye. Right, let me just try and... I'm not sure what I can do with this. All right, let me do that. There we go. That's as good as we're going to get. So, I agree, he's a good player, but looks a madman. But is that not what we need? Do we not need a few players with a bit of teeth that can actually get into players? I mean, I've seen more action from the Powder Puff Girls than I have from our team this season. A bit of opposition player runs past bloody Indeed, and he farts and he falls over. So maybe we need some players with passion. Maybe that's what we need. But look, there we go. That's it. That's rounded the news, the gossip, and the rumours up. We will be back. I'll be back Sunday for the watch along. Join us then. Jamie Vardy's last game. There's going to be a lot going on. Be there or be square. It's definitely tough. He's definitely, well, I'll take your word for that. But I will see you, like I say, on Sunday for the watch along. Jamie Vardy's last game. It's mad, but that's how it goes. He's 500th. Let's hope, fingers crossed, he can get his 200th goal. Thanks very much, everybody. I'll see you on Sunday. Have a great Saturday. All the best.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.